Welcome to another episode of the Decoding Cross-Border Ecommerce podcast. We're back. We're back for another one. Here. We have Ryan here, which we just finished an episode earlier talking about the reciprocal tariffs. I would say tune into that one. It was fun. This was going to be funner because we're going to talk about de minimis.
Yeah, we had to break this really into two subjects, I think, because there's two executive orders, two very relevant topics, but I think approaching them individually is going to be a good approach.
It looks like you wore the appropriate shirt for this.
I did, and I bought a shirt for my co-host, and he decided not to wear it.
What?
Yeah.
You sure it's not under there?
Look, I got nothing to defend.
Do you at least have your What About Bob shirt on or anything?
No, I had that on the other day. Yeah. I failed miserably on my attire today, so I got a Zonos shirt on. Does that?
That's cool.
That works.
I like it.
Okay. And we got blue. We got the blue thing going here. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, but real quick, we talk about headlines, executive orders. Did you guys hear about the fire at the circus?
I haven't.
No, I'd love. What? No, I don't want. I mean, I don't know if I'd love to hear about it, but I'm interested.
It was intense.
Oh my god.
Oh, see, now the reason, and I expect some good dad jokes from this guy too, because we were at breakfast the other day. I have 5 kids. I'm talking to someone else who has 3 kids, and there was 3 or 4 other people there. And I think we added up that we between all of us, we had 17 kids or something. Mm-hmm. And then this was 4 or 5 people. Then we turned to you two, and between the two of you, you outnumbered all of us.
Right. That's right. 19 between the two of us. Boom. That's what I'm talking about.
That's crazy.
Oh, it does blow my mind.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
11 kids?
Yeah, that's almost this. That's a small company. That's a good sized company.
That's right.
Yeah. My wife is CEO.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
So is his
for sure.
Most definitely.
100%.
Okay, de minimis. For anyone that is not sure what de minimis is, let's just define it.
Good plan.
It's anything that is under a value that isn't worth usually collecting, right? For whatever reason. So around the world, all these countries set a threshold, usually dollar threshold, in their currency that says anything under this currency, we're not going to collect either tax or duty on. One of the two. Sometimes, usually the tax de minimis is lower, if not zero, so they'll always get their tax. Mm-hmm. But duty, because it's just hard to it's hard to calculate. It is also just difficult to collect. So a while back, we set ours at $800 US, which is the highest effective de minimis rate in the world, basically. And that party might be ending.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sounds
so.
Like
What do we know that's going on? Because with the executive order and the reciprocal tariffs, also dropped a little more information around de minimis.
And the thing is, this isn't a new subject here in the U.S. It's been exploited like crazy over the years, and we've talked about this on a previous podcast too, of how the amount of shipments coming in under the U.S. de minimis have exploded. And it used to be 200, and it changed to 817, 15. I can't remember what year it was. Sometime in the last decade. Should we just go with that?
Yeah, I thought it was 16. But
okay, sometime in the last decade. But then it just exploded. And you look at cross-border e-commerce, you look at the Temus and the Sheins, etc. All these low-value shipments. You got people setting up shop in Canada and Mexico.
Anywhere but here.
Yeah, they're setting up, putting all their inventory in a warehouse right across the border, and then just shipping everything in low quantities because they don't have to pay any duty. So brilliant. Why wouldn't you do that? So we've kind of incentivized that behavior, and kudos to all the business owners that took advantage of it. But Congress has been talking about changing this. There's been a number of bills. Things have been floated out there, but there's really been no action on it. And then we've seen the Trump administration come in and right off the bat, I mean, they closed this loophole 2 months ago. Mm-hmm.
Under the authority every time of fentanyl, right? Just every executive order starts with fentanyl, I'm changing this, right?
Yes. Yeah. It lasted about a day or so, and they was like, oh crap, we're not ready for this. So they said, all right, when the Secretary of Commerce says the systems are in place, then we're going to do this again. So this is talked about in both of these executive orders. One of them is targeting specifically China, and the other one on the reciprocal tariffs, it talks about that same phrase that says when the Secretary of Commerce says the systems are in place, that's for the rest of the world. So nothing's happening there. They're still teasing that one like it's coming.
They're saying, hey, when we get to say when we want to say, Howard will tell us.
Right.
Yep. But the one specifically for China, it takes effect when, Ryan?
May 2nd.
2nd, right? Now, with that, they've also got a whole bunch of other weird stuff in there that they didn't have a couple months ago.
Well, first off, what's the amount? Like, how much is it going to cost, Ryan? Like, the tariffs coming from China went under the de minimis.
How many duties do you have to add up? We
Well,
just added 34% just with the reciprocal stuff.
So just on the, you're talking about the
just
the duty,
the import duty.
Yeah, so I believe it's an either or. You can it's either 30%.
Wait, no, that's strictly postal though. So
yeah.
So we're talking right now.
Oh yeah, just duties generally.
Okay, so now we're talking shipments coming into the U.S. today under $800. They pay how much?
Under 800? Mm-hmm. Zero.
Over 800, they pay.
Well, there's 25% from 2018. Mm-hmm. There's 20. The two 10% that equal to 20 from March.
So 20 plus 25.
Yes.
Then throw in the
Plus
34% that just got added?
34% plus the potential if it's aluminum or steel, that's an additional 25%. So
I'm glad we built code to calculate this stuff.
Can we just leave it at a lot?
Okay.
it's
It's
approaching 100%.
All right.
Yeah, so
something's coming in through DHL, FedEx, or whatever else, May 2nd.
May 2nd.
That weird.
All of those things start applying.
Yep. Okay.
Right? So now all of a sudden today you buy your cross-border shipment from, Temu, Shein, whatever, it just comes in, no duties are being applied. All of a sudden, I mean, it sounds like your product price might effectively double, right? Is that?
Yeah. I heard that's happening over in Ireland too. But okay, keep going.
In Dublin?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Never heard that before.
But part of the problem with the interesting thing is, this means the Secretary of Commerce said it's the systems are in place to handle these Chinese goods. But are they really?
I don't think they are. That's the thing.
Hey, based on how they do math, they might have the systems in place. Right? Where it's like, oh, let's calculate a reciprocal tariff. It's like, just do this. System may just be like, however, it doesn't appear that way, right, as it's written.
Yeah. So this is where I do see some interesting stuff in the way it's written that wasn't there before.
Okay, all right, tell me.
So let's say the systems are in place. Let's talk about a DHL, a FedEx, a UPS, all your major private company, commercial companies.
Yes.
That are more modern.
They've been doing this around the world for a long time.
They
get it.
Because everybody else has a low de minimis. They're having to collect on all this stuff.
Right.
So do they have systems in place?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think so.
We did our one test.
Yeah,
order.
we did a test. We got it. DHL invoiced us, and sure enough.
Yep. So systems are in
I don't know
place
if they calculated it right, but they collected something.
So where were the systems the biggest problem? It wasn't in the commercial side of things, was it?
No. All the packages that were piling up over at JFK from the USPS coming in. Postal, inbound,
is
not ready for this. They don't have the details around what the item's made of. It is a completely different channel of clearance and everything else. So it is extremely hard to solve.
So what should you do if getting the systems in place to play by the normal rules of the game is going to take too long? What else could you do? Do you just change the rules of the game for those type of shipments?
About your only rule, only a possibility.
Right. So that's what they did. So now in this thing, they have a carve out for the postal stuff where things are just handled a little differently. So let's talk a little bit about, just circle back around. In general, if you have Chinese made goods, that's the country of origin we're talking about here.
Doesn't matter where it's shipping from. It's talking about where it's made.
Where it's made. Yeah. So if you're sourcing stuff from China and shipping into the U.S., and that country of origin is China, that de minimis won't apply. All of a sudden, your stuff's going to get all these tariffs applied to them.
What if it's shipping from the UK?
Yeah.
But what if it's shipping from Canada?
Doesn't matter.
What if it's from Mexico?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So the vast majority of e-commerce generally is getting hit with this change.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff from China.
And from Australia. No. Yeah. A lot of stuff made in China. Correct.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Now, the interesting thing about the postal stuff is
because they don't know where it's made.
They don't know. The data requirements in the postal stream are crappy. Like they don't require all the same kind of rich data that they impose on the DHLs and FedExes and UPSs of the world. They're a little looser And so a lot of times they don't know. So they added some extra rules in there. So let's talk. I think we should talk a little bit about that. What are the rules on the postal shipments that they've changed?
Well, there's they're imposing a 30% duty.
Okay, so they've simplified it.
There's some ambiguity there's some language in the executive order that kind of we've had some conversations about what they mean by, I can't remember the exact term that they use for is this for per shipment or is it per item?
Per item. They use the word item, but
Per postal
item, right? That's what.
yeah, but in postal, the word item is like synonymous with package, I believe.
So we had determined that we think they meant that it was per package. So it's $30 per packet, per postal item or package, or I forget what the percentage is. So
it's 30%.
30%. Yes.
So what they're saying is if you've got if there's the data there and the values are there, then it's 30%. Just flat 30%, and that's in lieu of all the other stuff going on. So it's actually reasonable when you think about all the other terms.
Right. Yes.
So, or if you can't calculate that, it's just $25 a package.
Right.
That
then increases to $50 a package on June 1st.
So like, hey, if I want to take advantage of this, let's say I have a $500 item, and I can't calculate. Wouldn't I want to just say $25?
Well, here's the trick. Who's responsible for this? They push the burden onto what they call the transportation carriers to have a bond with the CBP and to collect and remit this tax. So now it's on them to calculate. And
who's a transportation carrier in this case?
Everything I'm seeing, this is like your airlines that are moving these postal items into the U.S.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
I don't know how they're going to do that either. That's a big question mark operationally.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to dive into that right now without getting someone else on the.
I wonder how many airlines are going to say we're not going to transmit or transport postal packages anymore.
Well, right. So and I don't even know how much visibility they have into the data, to be honest with you. So now we're talking, okay, they've got options of 30% if they have good data to work with, or they just do $25 a package, turning to $50 a package. But guess what? They have to use the same calculation method across they elect which way they go.
And they can change it every 30 days.
They can change it every month.
But not on an item basis, package basis. That's like...
They can't selectively choose. It's like everything has to be done the same way across all of their packages. And so you can't pick and choose based on value or anything like that. And then they can give 24-hour notice to CBP to change it if they want to change the way they calculate it. Or they can do it every month.
So if I'm a shipper, I'm gaming the airlines. I'm trying to pick which airline. I'm going to send my high-value shipments through this airline.
I don't know how much the shipper can dictate that. I don't know. Maybe they can.
It is going to be hard to game because I've seen people say, hey, okay, and you could do this right now, right? Which is, this is shipped from China, correct?
Yeah, okay, so that's the other part of this is, this is targeting, now it is still Chinese-made goods, like if you have country of origin actually in the data, it's still going to apply like normal. But then they say, also, postal shipments just coming from China or Hong Kong, it applies to all of those.
Doesn't matter where they're made.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. So why don't I just move those goods to Singapore?
That's what's going to happen.
For a short period, though, and this is if a retailer is thinking about doing something like that, it will be short-lived.
Very short-lived. It's not worth the effort.
The amount of risk you're putting your business at to try to set up a warehouse in operation based on this administration and how fast they can make just decisions and changes, I think would be crazy. Mm-hmm. If you think that de minimis is not changing across the board, you're and honestly, the postal channel is big, but there's a lot of volume that's going outside the postal channel too. So your customers are going to get hit if your stuff's made in China.
Yep.
It also applies to Macau as well. That was another thing they added this time, was that Macau is thrown in there.
Yes. And then, I also look at this of what they're trying to do. And this is, they didn't just throw this stuff in there for a reason. There's motivation behind this. So if you look at it from a security standpoint, let's go back to fentanyl and as one of the the buzzwords on security. But I think in general, it is a problem where there is a ton of blind spots in the low value postal stream when it comes to a lot of stuff gets in here and nobody knows what's coming in.
Dude,
right?
I have toured the facility I've seen JFK and the post and the packages. There is no way they have any clue what's in all that stuff.
No.
Or capacity to figure it out. It is crazy. Well, a lot of those things are handwritten on the, like the actual label was handwritten in a different, you can't even read it. I mean, other than the address, it is, it's extremely messy.
And if the data requirements are minimal, like,
yeah,
there's a lot of issues there. So they want to enrich the data and kind of put a forcing mechanism in place for that. So it seems clear to me that they're trying to incentivize people to go the 30% route instead of the flat 25 or 50. That's why it jumps to 50.
That's why it jumps to 50.
They're trying to they're giving a little time to adjust, but they're forcing their hand because you can't do 30% without more data and better data. So they're trying to incentivize these transportation carriers that are moving these postal items to get in the weeds and get some better data.
Yeah, that's wild.
And one other angle on this thing that this executive order I thought was interesting is it does give a lot of power to CBP. So it opens it up a little bit to allow some different processes, but it's really all at the discretion of CBP, which is Customs and Border Patrol. So, and CBP has the ability to require a formal entry at their own discretion. So they're going to allow this stuff to come in.
I don't know why
they can create, like if they see bad actors or things going on, they could go after and target and say, "No, we're going to need formal entry, which is going to require a lot more rich data."
That's
right?
The word "simple" cannot be used with.
I
that
think
word.
the idea here is they set up a framework that gives some control to CBP to adjust to the environment and try to come up with the right solution.
Yeah. But this is, should we be worried about other countries retaliating with the de minimis change?
No, because they're already low.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're China can't do anything here. Their de minimis is what? What's the de minimis?
0, basically.
Yeah. So, come on.
Okay, so here's another question I have for you. All of this is targeting shipments under 800. What about a postal shipment over 800? What happens then?
Is it going to be formally cleared still? Is it going to go through the same clearance process?
Same old thing it's always been. Yeah. I think it's Larry with his book.
Yeah, which
coming
is
up
rare.
with stuff.
Yeah,
giving it to USPS to put a paper tag on your door for you to pay cash for your duties.
So, wow. Okay.
That's the way I'm saying, because all of this stuff is just for the shipments under $800.
Yeah,
I'm curious what the mechanism is that they say they have.
Systems in place.
The systems are in place. What are these systems? I'd love to hear it.
I think the systems is Howard telling everybody I'm doing it on this date. And if you don't have your systems, if you can't do it, your whole operation is going to be a mess. So I don't know. We'll see.
And honestly, there may be motivation just to kill the postal channel coming from China.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
I know. I mean, that's been one of the questions. Is that actually what they're trying to do? I don't know.
It's going to force a lot of shipments to go commercial routes.
Because they know that they just can't at scale. Yes, they might be able to collect and clear and get duties and taxes on it, but having the data on what's in there is probably, there's a big security concern, whether it's valid or not, they have a big security concern on what's coming in. And that isn't changing. There is no improvement in visibility into what's coming into the country.
No, but they could totally do some stuff like in Europe. They came out with ICS2 requiring certain data elements.
Hey,
just start requiring it.
We have lots of ideas there. They just give us a call.
Yeah,
we know how to. We've seen how it's been done incorrectly.
Yep.
I don't know if we've seen it done right. We know what it would look like to be done right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's no, it's not for another episode because that's a secret. All right. Anything else on this subject? On the Minimis?
I think we've covered all the bullet points on this. So just to kind of recap, May 2nd.
Yep.
Postal shipments from China, things are going to happen, but it's not just that. It's anything with Chinese-made goods coming into the U.S. So come May, it's going to be pretty disruptive. And then TBD on the date after that for rest of world goods.
All right. Hey, thanks again, everyone. We'll see you.
you.
Till
Thanks,
next
guys.
time.
Yep.